About 5 years ago, Acura brought back the NSX. It was reborn as a twin turbocharged, hybrid, electrified, super handling all-wheel drive supercar with an exterior design that was befitting of something super exotic. Now, over the years, Acura made small changes to the NSX. However, for 2022, we are seeing some substantial changes for the final model year. That's right, this week I'm actually out in Napa, California to drive the brand new 2022 NSX Type S. It's the first time we're seeing a Type S badged NSX here in America. And of course, because it's the highest performance version of the NSX, we have a massaged 3.5 liter twin turbocharged V6 now making 600 horsepower to go along with the revised exterior styling on the outside and the fact that Acura is only going to be building about 350 of these for the world. So if you guys have been looking to buy the all new second generation NSX, was the wait for the Type S version worth it? Stay tuned to find out. So it's hard to believe that the NSX has already been out for about 5 years now. And let me tell you, when this car was first introduced back in 2016, the design was a showstopper. A lot of people compared it to a McLaren, to an Audi R8, and it has aged incredibly well, which is why Acura didn't need to make too many changes in terms of the design for 2022. But because this is now a Type S, in fact, it's the only way you can buy an NSX this year. There's no base version. They did make a couple of styling changes, so let's go ahead and talk about what they are. Now, first thing you're going to notice, of course, is the new front fascia. Acura's kind of beak grille from the pre-refresh model is gone. Instead, it doesn't really have the diamond pentagon, but I do like how the Acura logo here has kind of like a body colored area here. The Acura logo itself is black finished. This is the first Acura model to get the black finish grille or the black finish logos on the front and the rear. It's surprising to me that it's 2022 and Acura didn't actually offer black badges from the factory. It goes well, of course, with the black in the grille, the carbon fiber in the front splitter, which is part of a lightweight package that my tester has. And then you can see the jewel eye headlights, which are technically the older design, but they still look good. You can see they have 6 individual LEDs. You have an LED daytime running light, although it's not the chicane style, and you also have an LED turn signal. No fog lights on this vehicle, but you do have larger side air intakes on the front, which again helps to feed air to help cool that mid-mounted engine. It's also got upgraded intercoolers, an upgraded heat exchanger here, because Acura wants this vehicle to be even more track capable. Now, looking at the rest of the profile, you can see in this Indy Yellow Pearl, which is a new color that they added last year, this is a stunning vehicle. In fact, we've had it parked here for a few minutes and literally everyone keeps stopping at it, taking pictures of it, and for good reason, because it really does have that exotic supercar looks. In terms of the ground clearance, I do want to mention this car is about 3.8 inches off the ground, which is obviously very low. It's actually a little bit higher than most of the McLaren supercars, and because of that, Acura doesn't offer the front axle lift system that you can get on like a Porsche, on a Ferrari, or on a McLaren, although it doesn't necessarily need it because it's not going to scrape quite as easily as some of the other exotic vehicles. Now, looking at the rest of the profile here, I want to talk about the wheels, because the wheels have also gotten an update this year. Acura offers 2 different finishes. You have a 19 and a 20-inch wheel. It's a staggered setup. This is the shark gray finish. You can also get it with a Berlin black, a gloss black finish for an extra $1,500. My tester with the lightweight package also includes the carbon ceramic brakes, which is actually the most expensive option that you can get on this car. It's about 10 grand for the brakes itself. You can see it's a massive 15.4-inch carbon ceramic rotor with a 6-piston caliper. This one here has the silver painted calipers with the NSX embroidered on the actual caliper itself. The Pirelli P0 tires are bespoke. Acura said they worked with Pirelli to create a unique tire just for the NSX. It provides the maximum amount of grip, which should be better versus the Continentals that you had on the pre-refreshed model. And you can see at the front here, you have 245 width tires, even fatter 305 width tires at the back, because remember, this engine, this car has more of a rear drive bias. It is all-wheel drive, but I'll talk about that later on when we go into the powertrain setup. Now, you can see for 2022, you have more gloss black accents on the mirrors. You have gloss black accents for the door handles. The carbon fiber roof is actually standard for 2022. That used to be an option. Now that's going to help to lower the center of gravity for this vehicle and give us better handling. You still, of course, have the side intake mounts here for the mid-mounted engine because it is mounted back here. And then you can see there's some styling elements that Acura did take from the GT3 race car. The new spoiler back here is a little bit more aggressive. It's obviously not the table that you can get on the race car, but it does give this car a more meaner look. The rear also has updated taillights where they are a little bit smoked finish. You can see it's a full LED design. And then down here, the rear diffuser looks fantastic with the carbon fiber. In fact, the carbon fiber with this Indy Yellow just looks fantastic in general. But the engine, you can hear, you guys probably want to know what the exhaust sounds like. I love the center mounted exhaust. It's now black finish. Let's go ahead and fire it up so you can hear what it sounds like. So in terms of the engine sound, it sounds good for a V6. Obviously, it's no Audi R8 with the V10, but I think Acura did a great job with tuning the active exhaust system. I also want to point out the gloss black Acura badge here looks really good with the Indy yellow, but let's go ahead and open up the hatch area, because remember, the engine is back here, but also the trunk is back here. You get 4.4 cubic feet of space, which obviously it's not a lot. You could probably fit a set of golf clubs in here and maybe even a small roller bag. But really, the main story underneath here is that engine. You can see my tester has the carbon fiber engine cover, which is usually an extra $3,600. The Type S model includes the new red accent on the engine, and the engine itself gets upgrades to the hardware and the software to give us more power. So the turbochargers have been upgraded with more boost. They actually come from the NSX GT3 race car. They offer around 16 PSI of boost, and on its own, the gas engine makes about 520 horsepower. That's a 20 horsepower increase over the pre-refresh model, which only made 500 horsepower and about 443 pound-feet of torque. When you combine it, of course, with 3 electric motors, there's 2 that powers the front axles to give us all-wheel drive, and then a third one at the rear, that will make for a combined power of 600 horsepower. So this is the most powerful production engine that Acura has ever built, period. This is the most powerful NSX and the most powerful Acura. It also makes 492 pound-feet of torque. Now, if you're comparing notes, this makes about 27 more horsepower and about 16 more pound-feet of torque versus the non-Type S version of the NSX. It all goes out through a 9-speed dual-clutch transmission. It's the only 9-speed dual-clutch that's in existence. All the other competitors, I believe, use like a 7-speed dual-clutch. And in terms of fuel economy, it stays the same at 21 in the city, 22 on the highway. That's not really why you buy a vehicle like this, but you should note that's actually much better gas mileage versus all of its competitors. In terms of the performance, Acura says the increased power has basically resulted in a 0-60 sprint in under 3 seconds. We'll go ahead and try that out when we get the vehicle out on the track. And in terms of top speed, this will reach a top speed of 191 miles an hour, just under 200 miles an hour. And as this one sits, it weighs in at just around 3,900 pounds. So while the exterior of the 2022 NSX Type S looks a lot different versus the pre-refresh model, the interior, once I get down here, oh, I'm getting too old for getting into low cars like this, isn't really all that different. Obviously, there are a couple of upgrades. First of all, this light orchid interior that I'm showing you is a new addition. I really like the two-tone color combination. It's got the Alcantara, it's got the bolsters that are the light orchid, it's got some contrasting stitching. Acura also offers a full leather interior, taking away the Alcantara, but not on the orchid option. You can take your pick between either black, red, which offers the full red, or black, or this two-tone light orchid. I think it looks really good with the Indy yellow, but let me get in here and shut the door. The door itself still has a really nice solid sounding thunk. And in terms of the rest of the interior, you can see there aren't really any changes to the dashboard. Really, you're only going to notice there's a Type S badge that's embossed onto the actual glove box over here. There's still the typical full leather and Alcantara with the French stitching you're going to notice splashed all throughout the cabin of this interior. It feels really high quality. You have real metal trim that you see, a lot of authentic materials. The steering wheel also isn't really any different to me. In fact, with the carbon fiber package that my tester has, you can see there's carbon fiber on the wheel. The wheel itself is a manual tilt and telescoping function, and the key fob for the vehicle, you can see, looks pretty much identical. It's the older Acura key fob, but when I flip it around, you can see it says NSX Type S, just to remind you that you're in the special model. Let me go ahead and fire it up. The button to fire it up is right here where you'd expect it to be. And usually when you have the vehicle into its quiet mode, it'll actually start the vehicle in just pure electric. It actually won't have a starter noise, but because the car hasn't really been running, it's trying to recharge the battery. But you hear it, it sounds really good, especially even from the inside, but even more so from the outside. The steering wheel itself, as I mentioned earlier, it feels really good in my hands. It has like a flat bottom on the bottom part and also on the top, so it's almost like a square shape. And really the only downside or sour point with this interior is this screen over here. You can see this 7-inch touchscreen is the oldest system that you're going to find in any Honda product. This looks like it was pulled out of the 2016 Honda Civic, which back then it was an okay system. It at least still has Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, but it's a wired connection. I wish that Acura would have added this vehicle with their newer True Touchpad interface and done something with it, but it would have been a lot to really change this out. So this is really the only sour point. You have a massive dynamic mode selector over here. You have dual zone automatic climate control, and you have 3-level heated seats. Although I wish that Acura had added cooled seats, especially for the Type S model. The seats themselves, they are an 8-way power adjustment, or I'm sorry, they're a 6-way power adjustment with an adjustable lumbar, so it's not really much in terms of adjustment. You at least do have a 2-person memory, which is nice. The door panel materials feel really high quality. You have really high quality window switches. The ELS sound system in this car, I believe, has 9 speakers. It sounds okay, but you're really going to be listening to that engine most of the times anyway. And then over here on the center console, there are no actual cup holders here. Instead, you kind of have like this little storage area. The cup holders themselves are actually going to be into the dash right here. If you actually have the actual cup holder itself, they're actually right here in the glove box. So if you're looking to actually use the cup holders, you stick them in here, and then you have that, but it's going to eat into your space for the passenger side, obviously. The glove box, you can see, it's pretty deep, it's damped, and it's lined with felt. I love the Alcantara that you find on it. And then there's also another hidden storage cubby over here, which has the USB port over there, so you're going to be plugging your phone into that if you want to use the Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. So overall, the interior is pretty much the same. The visibility is good. The seats hold you nicely in place, but I do wish Acura had added cooled seats and just given us a newer infotainment system. It would have been at least a nice farewell to this car, because remember, Acura is only building about 350 for the world. Only 300 are coming to the US. All right, so I started my day at 5 o'clock in the morning today to drive the NSX Type S. And the first thing that I want to do in the Type S is do the launch controls. So that's what we're going to do. Acura said I could do it right here in pit lane. I have the vehicle in track mode, and okay. Wow. I forgot how actually brutal it is to drive this car. Oh my God. Now, obviously that was my first time launching the Type S, but I got 3.39 seconds there. That's actually going slightly uphill. Now, Acura basically says it's going to be under 3 seconds, and it definitely feels just as brutal as the last NSX I drove. Oh my God. I'm hoping I can get this car for a full week to do another test with this vehicle. But we're going to basically go out on the track. We're going to do some track driving, because Acura made so many adjustments to the suspension, to the transmission, to the battery output, to the engine. And I want to talk about how this thing feels out on the track, because Acura says it results in 2 seconds faster on the Suzuka Raceway. So I'm excited to see how this thing drives out on Sonoma Raceway. All right, so now that I did my 0 to 60 run, Acura is giving me 2 laps where the lead follow instructor is not talking, so I can finally show you guys what this car is like. Now, I've been on this track a couple times now. My first experience was in a Dodge Charger Hellcat wide body, so it's nice to be in an actual supercar. And this is actually my first time getting some track time in the NSX. So, you know, this Type S model is a bittersweet moment for Acura and the NSX, because it's the last model year of this second generation, and it's the most powerful production NSX the company has ever done. So I'm going to see what it's like out here on the limits. Now, Acura made a couple of changes. They improved the transmission shift quickness, so it shifts up to 50% faster. It has a rapid downshift mode. The engine makes 20 more horsepower on its own. Now it's making 520 horsepower courtesy of a few hardware and software changes. But it has the turbos from the GT3 Evo race car. Woo-hoo. And this car, you know, it's been on the market for a few years now, but it's still unbelievably quick. And the changes they made to the suspension, to the steering ratio, the transmission, the engine, it's all just making for a faster, better, higher performing Type S. I have the vehicle in Sport Plus now, so all the nannies are on, but they're also going to let me have a little bit more fun when I want to. And you could feel the changes. This vehicle feels so incredibly stiff, so balanced. The ride quality is also surprisingly good. The adaptive dampers in this car, it's got this company's sport hybrid super handling all-wheel drive system. And you just feel like this is a driver's car. Everything about the original second-gen NSX have just been sharpened for this car. So I'm getting a sense of that. The seats also hold me in place. The sound also, Acura says they made the noise a little bit more aggressive this year. It's got some induction noises, some generated sounds, and it sounds good. This is obviously not the V10 that you're going to hear in like a Lamborghini or a Audi R8, but put my foot down here, listen to that. Oh my God, that is awesome. Oh my God. And the one thing about this transmission I'm noticing, the shifts are definitely faster. This is the only 9-speed dual clutch that you're going to find in the industry right now. Everyone else has either a 7 or an 8-speed. And it is just a well-matched partner to this powertrain. And the crazy thing about the NSX when this car came out is you don't necessarily feel the weight of the car. I mean, yes, it's a 3,900-pound supercar. It's a good, like, 500 pounds heavier than most of its competitors because they don't have batteries, but this is kind of the beauty about the NSX. It was one of the first electrified supercars out there, and it basically gave you Porsche 918 money or performance for, you know, a fraction of the price, and that's still very much the case. This Type S model at 170 grand is still a steal if you really want a hybrid supercar. But I'm just impressed right out of the box. These Pirelli P0s that are bespoke tires for the NSX Type S, they have so much grip. It's just so nice that Acura brought me out to Sonoma because I can feel this car has such high limits. And honestly, I'm a little terrified to explore what these limits are. But coming back over here, I can get on the power here, put my foot down. Oh, oh my God, that's, oh my God, that was like 105 so easily. It's just so incredibly balanced, really good steering. Wow, what an amazing car. God, just so much control, so much grip. And the paddles just have such a quick response. I pull them, it just quickly upshifts, quickly downshifts. Man. Sadly, I'm not able to drive this car out on the road, but here on a racetrack, it feels like it was built and designed for this purpose. And if you're lucky enough to own this car, you should definitely consider taking it to a track. So right behind me is the new MDX Type S. It's technically the second Type S model to grace the Acura lineup, and Acura has been really busy trying to Type S all the things, and the new NSX Type S is the third Type S model to grace the Acura lineup. And sadly, it's a bittersweet moment for the NSX because, as I mentioned earlier, this is the final year of the second generation NSX. In fact, Acura will only build about 350 of them for the world. They've all actually already been sold. The US is going to get 300 of these models. Acura is actually going to offer a new matte finish gray color called Gotham Gray. There's only going to be 70 of those coming to the US. This one here, the Indy Yellow, I think looks fantastic. The Gotham Gray I saw earlier is also very Batman-like. It's a very sinister looking color, but I think supercars tend to look good in brighter colors. Overall, after spending the day driving this car just on a track, sadly, Acura did not let me drive this car out on the road. I'm hoping that I can get one for a week to test in my home area. But again, this is going to be a very exclusive car. So if you guys have been waiting for a Type S, you better hurry up and go to your local dealer and see if you can snag one of the existing cars that have already been snatched up and pre-sold supposedly, but I imagine some of these are going to end up on dealer lots anyways. Now, in terms of pricing, the NSX used to be around $157,000 for the non-Type S model. Now, of course, for the Type S model, I expected this car to get it more expensive, but it surprisingly didn't get too expensive considering what you get here. This car starts at $169,500. That's before the $2,000 destination charge. My tester here with the lightweight package for $13,000. It sounds like a lot of money, but if you spec in all the options that it includes, it actually comes out to be around $17,000. Also $1,000 for the Indy Yellow paint. $500 for the XM radio on the inside. You're looking at around $185,500 for this model, which I know it's a lot of money. But remember, when this car came out, it essentially delivers performance that rivals something like the Porsche 918, which is a $1 million supercar, but at a fraction of the price. Now, of course, you could go and buy a Porsche 911 or an Audi R8 for probably around the same money to start, but keep in mind those vehicles can easily top $200,000, while this car here, fully loaded, especially if you got the Gotham Gray paint, which is a $6,000 charge, you're looking at just under $190,000, which I think is a deal, especially if you're looking for something exclusive. Remember, with so little being built for the world, and it's also the last model year, I imagine this car is going to quickly become a collector's item. So if you guys are lucky enough to be able to afford this kind of six-figure price tag and you want an Acura supercar that's going to be really rare on the roads, I imagine you should probably head over to your Acura dealer and see if you can somehow locate one of these vehicles or just find one on the lot. But with all that said, I hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on the 2022 Acura NSX Type S. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at Redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and as always, guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.